The Random Jottings of Donald J. in Nelson in Pendle, Lancashire. Chatterer Location Clitheroe, Well Hall Entity unknown, Poltergeist 1891. An entity here was said to keep a former owner, an older woman, company. When the woman sat by the fireplace, the entity would join her and sit by her side. An old newspaper reported a poltergeist outbreak here in 1891. Complete with loud knocks and items being thrown around. The poltergeist ceased after a servant was caught moving items around by police, and later confessed to being the source. Once upon a time, in the small town of Clitheroe, there was a beautiful old hall called Well Hall. It was a grand and stately building, with large rooms and a cozy fireplace that was always kept lit during the colder months. Well Hall had a long and storied history, and many people had lived there over the years. But one of its most interesting inhabitants was a fairy who came to be known as Chatterer. Chatterer was a mischievous and playful fairy who loved to spend time with the humans who lived in the hall. She was particularly fond of an older woman who had once lived there, and would often keep her company when she sat by the fireplace, telling stories and sharing secrets. But Chatterer was not always content to simply chat and play. Sometimes she would get bored and start causing trouble. She would make things disappear or move them around, and then giggle with glee as the humans searched for them in confusion. In 1891, the humans in Well Hall began to experience a particularly intense outbreak of Chatterer's mischief. Loud knocks and strange noises could be heard throughout the building, and items were constantly being thrown around by an unseen force. At first, the humans were terrified, convinced that they were being haunted by a poltergeist. But then, one day, a servant was caught moving items around by the police. She was forced to confess to being the source of the strange occurrences, and Chatterer's reign of mischief came to an end. But even though Chatterer was no longer able to play her pranks on the humans of Well Hall, she never forgot the joy that she had experienced during her time there. And so, even now, some say that if you listen carefully, you can still hear her chattering and giggling in the halls of the old building. Donald J.